Welcome back. President-elect Donald Trump has promised to launch a mass deportation program on his first day in office. A new film, Separated, from Oscar-winning filmmaker Errol Morris, based on the book Separated, Inside an American Tragedy by NBC News political and national correspondent Jacob Soboroff, examines the first Trump administration's family separation and immigration policies and the ongoing years-long fight to reunite children.
The unaccompanied children program, which I worked in, was essentially hijacked for a purpose for which it was never intended, nor authorized in law. It was a program designed to be a child protection program for children who entered the United States without parents. And it was instead used as a tool to take children from their parents.
And Jacob Soboroff and Errol Morris join me now. Welcome to Meet the Press.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you both for being here. Errol, I want to start with you. You are an Oscar award-winning filmmaker. Why did you want to take on this project?
It's a very important issue and perhaps at the essence of our current politics. It involves immigration, the treatment of immigrants, both outside our country and within. I couldn't think of a more important issue to make a movie about.
Jacob, you have done so much reporting about this issue. What made you want to take that reporting and turn it into a book and now this documentary?
I think, Kristen, when we all covered this together at the time in the summer of 2018, what a Republican-appointed judge called one of the most shameful chapters in the history of our country, what Physicians for Human Rights said met the UN definition of torture, and the American Academy of Pediatrics called government-sanctioned child abuse. When we covered it, I don't think any of us, or at least many of us, understood how the U.S. government could do something so deliberately cruel, in the words of Adam Serwer, who coined that the cruelty is the point for the Atlantic. And so I still had questions, and I wrote the book. The legend, Errol Morris, my favorite filmmaker, one of the great filmmakers of all time, read the book and said he shared some of those questions. And now here we are 4 years later to the day. We didn't know President Trump would run for re-election again, much less become the president-elect of the United States. And now we're on the verge of another family separation policy, mass deportation, which is just family separation by another name.
Well, Errol, pick up on that very point, if you would, because, of course, then President Trump in his first term did end the family separation policy that he started. But officials not ruling it out potentially in this second term, despite the fact that a judge has ruled against it. How do you see this playing out over the next 4 years?
My movie ends with a warning that there is nothing to prevent this from happening again. Despite the horrors that we are aware of from its first go-round, yes, the people who instituted these policies are now firmly in place in the new administration. And yes, in one form or another, it could happen again.
Jacob, one of the statistics that you report on that I think would surprise a lot of people, there are still more than 1,000 children who haven't been reunited with their families. Can you update us? What is the latest on the efforts to try to get those kids reunited?
Kristen, actually, the number today is somewhere between 1,300 and 1,400 children without confirmed reunifications. That's according to the Department of Homeland Security. And that is because the policy was, and I think this is a generous description, so haphazardly implemented. I will never forget when you asked former President Trump, President-elect Trump, and President Biden during that last presidential debate in 2020 about 545 children who were still separated from their parents. That number has only grown since then as we have discovered sort of the extent that this policy tore families apart from one another deliberately. And I think that not only are we looking back at this policy and the ramifications of it, it'll be a lifelong trauma for all of them, but also what it means going forward. It's also a roadmap, in essence, for what the incoming Trump administration has promised.
Errol, what did, based on your work on this film, what did you perceive the impact to be on these kids?
I hope it was not just an impact on these kids, but on the country as a whole, that beating up on immigrants, policies of cruelty are a moral thing, not a political thing. What we did to these children, to me, is morally unacceptable. And fortunately, it was unacceptable to a lot of people.
Jacob.
You know, we've heard a lot about the deep state, the horrors of the deep state. But many of the heroes of this story were people who were non-political appointees, who worked in the government and who fought very hard to protect children. And that is really part of the story.
Jacob, you have spent so much time studying this topic, but I wonder if in working on this film, what surprised you? What did you learn that was new that you weren't expecting to uncover?
Kristen, I hope, when everybody watches it, and I'm excited that everybody will have the opportunity to watch it this coming weekend on MSNBC, I thought back to that time in a way that I hadn't remembered. Errol just mentioned it, that this was one of the rare policy reversals, maybe the only significant major one of the first Trump administration, because of career officials like Jonathan White, who you played a clip of, a career official from the Office of Refugee Resettlement. And because these folks stood up inside the government and pushed back on something that wasn't a bipartisan condemnation, it was really a universal condemnation. The Pope spoke out, if you'll remember, about this policy. It forced the government to make corrective action on something I think so many people thought was morally unacceptable. And it's a good reminder for us today, as, by the way, this is a policy that was possible only because of decades of bipartisan deterrence-based immigration policy. This is not just a story about Donald Trump. This is a story about the U.S. government, the immigration system within it, and people who stood up and were able to make a change here. And it's a great reminder.
Well, it's such a great point, Jacob, and Errol, if you would follow up on that. The immigration system has been broken for so long. Did you get to the root of why it's just so intractable for this country to resolve this issue?
People would rather argue about it politically rather than try to solve the problem, which is the sad story of many significant issues facing the country. The way to solve immigration is not to beat up on children. Perhaps that should be obvious, but we should remember that we are a country of immigrants. I wouldn't be here if my family hadn't immigrated from Eastern Europe in the 20s. We're all, in many ways, immigrants. And how we treat those people who are trying to enter our country for a better life really reflects on us. I'm not saying there shouldn't be borders or there shouldn't be immigration laws, but there should also be morality and kindness involved.
All right, Jacob and Errol, thank you so much for this conversation. We really do appreciate it. And you can watch Separated next Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on MSNBC.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.